Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So I'm just doing this quick little video. I'm filming it on October 13th, but on October 14th, it's my 5-year anniversary date. Oh no, 4-year anniversary date for self-publishing my book, Finding Om. And then it's 5 years to the date that I landed in Germany. So I moved to Germany I left October 13th, but I landed October 14th in in Hanover, Germany of 2014, and then of October 14th of 2015, I self-published my book. I launched the book, and I actually was in the Lagos in Portugal, which I love Portugal. If you've followed me for any bit of moment of my existence, you know my Camino journey from Port of Portugal to Santiago had a lot of meaning to it. But anyways, I loved Portugal, and I just remember sitting on this cliff kind of looking out at the ocean and the rocks in the Lagos, and I was like, oh my god, I did it. It was like a 3-year process that finally got published. Now, independent artistry is really hard, and I just want to share some thoughts on that because I feel like today I'm meeting a lot of people, specifically millennials, who do want to live off of some form of their creative artistry or off of their hobbies and things like that. And while I did my journey on the Camino, I met quite a few locals who their kids see things on YouTube, and they're like, oh, when I grow up I want to become a skateboarder in Huntington Beach, California. And it's like, the reality is this can't, it doesn't happen for many people. Last week I read, or this week actually, I think I read something on the front page of Yahoo, because my personal email is Yahoo, and so I just saw one of these headline articles, which was about a family who was found all shot dead in their house, and the father was a struggling child book author. And so there's total speculation there to think that it might have been like a kill of the family and then a suicide, because he was suffering a lot from, I guess, like anxiety and depression because he wasn't a successful writer. And so the irony is, like, I totally sympathize or empathized with that story because I have gone through so many moments of being like, wow, I'm such a failure in writing, because it never kind of went off to a successful point. When I moved back from Germany to Seattle, I thought that I could at least get a little bit of interest with people in the yoga community here in Seattle, because, or at least with an independent bookstore. One, because it's an independent artistry. It's kind of, a journey about change, which is a lot of what people are searching for in spiritual development in general. And so I guess to some degree, there was nothing really kind of sexy about a woman going and finding herself in India and through doing yoga and backpacking there and in Australia, and finding some form of spirituality and trying to find a home in in her life. And I had a lot of bookstores who do readings that said, thank you for submitting this, but we are no longer, or we are not interested in this because we just don't think it'll sell enough books and make enough money. And so I was just so soul crushed because I was like, God, I've worked so hard in my life just to even just to develop myself spiritually, but also just to kind of put yourself out there. And I wasn't expecting massive raves or sales, but even like a reading at a yoga studio would have been nice. And the Seattle Public Library even mentioned that they don't really take memoir writers. So I respected that. But the irony is, the next month on their calendar, they had 2 memoir writers. One was about a woman who had multiple abortions. So it was a book about being an independent woman and the ability to choose abortion and things like that. And then the other book was kind of like almost similar to my story. It was like from being lost to found. But this woman and was a LSD addict, and so she went really far off the deep end, and then recovered from being a drug addict. And so I kind of thought, like, the irony of it. I was like, I'm like, that's just the way the world is. Extremism and vulgarity and completely going off the rails is what sells, and everything else that's kind of like mediocre or just kind of average doesn't. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people I know. I know people here who are going to leave Seattle because they're going to try to become a musician, in Nashville or in Austin, Texas. I know people who are trying to run a church in and like a home church that is really welcoming with like homeless people and stuff like that, and it's really hard for them to reach people. They just want to spread the message that God loves them and stuff like that, and not anything from like a religious zealot standpoint. And the irony is we all come to these forms of agreement that like there's nothing really trendy or hip or sexy or anything about kind of finding yourself and changing your lifestyle and getting back on the right path in life, whether that's through health behavior choices, doing yoga or finding God, whatever. And none of that, it just takes an extreme type of, I guess, promotion in order to get people interested in it. And so, if you're an independent artist, I would just say continue doing what you love, but you have to detach a little bit from these feelings of feeling like you're a success or a failure, especially if you're not able to live off of these things. We swim. One of my clients works at Microsoft, and he said a lot of app developers, he said there's 10 million apps right now out on the Apple Store, and he said a lot of tech people just don't develop apps anymore because it's so competitive, and they can, with 7 to 10 years experience, they can walk into Microsoft and start off at a $300,000 salary. So why make the app when you can work a full-time job and make a ton of money and do it for a while and hopefully quit to work on your passion? So it's a really hard thing. Independent artistry has always been a difficult thing. A lot of times artists have kind of survived off the wealthy. The aristocrats in Europe have given us a lot of arts and culture through the years. And so, I guess to some degree, there's this dependency between like the starving artists and like the people who can actually afford art and stuff like that. So, it's a fun day, I guess, to think like, at least I did it. I'm not making any money off of it, but I'm just really excited. And I hope that to some degree, whether people, relate to this message or anything that I've written in the past, that they can at least, have like a little spark of interest, whether it's planting a seed in the brain or just even thoughts about changing their life or behavior or anything like that, or, their well-being. I think at the end of the day, most people want to feel whole, complete. They want to feel loved. They want to be accepted within a community or with friends or family, and at their work and stuff like that. And people just want to feel valued. And a lot of that work has to also come from within. One of the biggest problems of society today is that we're seeking so much external praise and value, which is coming from the material world or the earthly plane. So we are finding our self-value and our worth through how many likes on social media we can get and this, that, and the other. And it doesn't really work like that. A lot of our self-worth and grounding has to come from within. It is hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've struggled at times when I'm like, God, does nobody ever like what I write, or these little pictures that I post? It's like the only person that ever does is my mother. And I don't know, we have to detach from money and that being a part of a successful thing. So if you want to be a musician and you've published some songs, I think that's a great accomplishment in itself, and you should be very happy that you've done that, because at least it's a passion or a soul calling that you've kind of have come to fruition with, because there's a lot of people who think and dream big, but they don't ever act on the stuff that they want to do. So I have some fun other stuff. I'm going to be starting my little Etsy account soon. I've been so busy with clients and working full time that all the stuff on the side has been pushed back for a very long time. And so I'm going to be, I guess, on this date of October 14th, since I seem to have a trend with this date, I'm going to be publishing kind of this little Etsy account to kind of, sell my little vintage things and antique stuff and vintage clothing and things like that I've used as a source of inspiration for my food blogs and things. So, whether that becomes a success or not, I'm not going to relate or not relate. I'm not going to attach myself to that. I'm at least going to try and put it out there and see kind of what happens, and hopefully get a little strategy along the way. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys are well, and have a great day. Bye.